That night, I saw my husband practicing his smile, and I knew the person standing before that mirror was no longer him. My marriage didn't end with a fight, not with tears, but with a single glance through a cracked door at 3 in the morning. We had been living like strangers for 6 months. I stayed in the master bedroom upstairs. He, Min, took the guest room downstairs. The house was wide, quiet, and cold. Not because of the weather. It was the kind of cold you feel when you know a relationship has already died, but neither of you has the courage to bury it. I thought I understood that silence until the Tuesday night in late November. I came downstairs to get water. Didn't turn on the lights. Habit. Didn't want to make noise. And I saw him. Min was standing at the end of the hallway, in front of the old mirror we bought back when we were still in love. Back straight, both arms hanging at his sides, fingers spread flat against his thighs. He wasn't moving. I stood still, waiting. Then, very slowly, the corners of his mouth pulled upward. Not a smile, something that was trying to look like one. His eyes didn't change. There was nothing behind them at all. He held the expression for 10 seconds, then let it fall completely slack. Then did it again, as if he were practicing, as if he were trying to remember how the muscles in a human face were supposed to work. I stepped back, 1 foot at a time, avoiding the floorboards that creaked, back to my room, locked the door, and told myself, he's sleepwalking. Just stress. I am stressed too. But then the small things started happening. My toothbrush turned to face the mirror instead of the sink. The 4 kitchen chairs pulled out at perfectly equal distances, each one exactly 2 finger widths from the table. Not more, not less. And the way he spoke to me. Good morning, Lynn. Today will be mostly cloudy with a temperature of around 22 degrees. Suitable for indoor activities. He didn't look at his phone, didn't glance out the window, just stared straight at my face, fixed on the bridge of my nose without blinking. 8 years together. He had never spoken like that. And his smell. Min always smelled like soap and old paper. The man standing in that kitchen doorway smelled like metal, like an electrical device running too hot. One evening I came home late, 9 o'clock at night. The front door was unlocked. The house was completely dark. I called his name. No answer. Only silence. The kind of silence that feels like it's looking back at you. I turned on my phone flashlight. The living room was tidy in a way that felt wrong. Magazines aligned as if measured with a ruler. Sofa cushions placed in perfect symmetry. Then I heard it. Shh. 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 A dragging sound. Wet. Heavy. Coming from his room. I turned off the light. Pressed my back against the wall. Slid slowly toward his door. Open just a crack. A faint blue light flickered from inside. Min was kneeling in the center of the room. All the furniture had been pushed against the walls. The mattress stripped bare. In his hand was a serrated kitchen knife. He was carving. Each line straight, parallel, evenly spaced. Hundreds of lines, gouged into the hardwood floor. I couldn't breathe. Then he stopped. Didn't turn his head. Didn't look toward the door. Your breathing is elevated, Lynn. That voice came from the figure kneeling on the floor, and at the same moment, from directly behind my left ear. I didn't turn around. I ran. Out the front door, into the car. Drove until the city disappeared behind me. The divorce was processed in absentia. Min disappeared that same night. Police found the house empty, and the carvings on the floor. Thousands of lines, forming a geometric pattern no one could decode. What haunts me isn't the pattern. It's what the detective told me a week later. According to the electronic door lock security log, There was no record of Min entering the house that day, but there was one door opening, and something stepped inside. Exactly 10 seconds after I did. The divorce was supposed to be clean, organized, rational. We even kept a shared calendar to divide our lives neatly into colored blocks. That was our first mistake. My name is An. I'm an auditor. I deal in facts, numbers, and logic. So when my marriage ended, I handled it the same way I handle everything. Methodically. No screaming, no broken dishes, just a mediator, a shared Google Calendar, and a quiet agreement to dismantle 8 years of life as efficiently as possible. My ex-husband, Kwa, stayed in our apartment on the 10th floor downtown. I moved into my sister's spare room across the city. We stopped speaking directly. Everything. Every appointment, every moving date, every vet visit for our dog was communicated through calendar blocks. Blue for his, red for mine. It was sterile. It was sad. But it was working. Until the gray blocks started appearing. It was a Thursday evening. I was sitting at my makeshift desk, halfway through a cup of cold green tea, when my laptop chimed. New event. Observation. 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Gray. No description. No location. I texted Kwa immediately. What is this? Some kind of joke? He replied an hour later. I didn't add anything. Must be a glitch. I deleted it. Told myself he was right. But 2 days later, another one appeared. Perimeter check. 1:15 a.m. to 1:45 a.m. Then the next day. Inventory. Kitchen. 3 a.m. to 3:45 a.m. The unease came slowly, like water rising in a sealed room. It wasn't just the events. It was the language. Kwa was an accountant. Careful, quiet, a little boring. He didn't use words like perimeter. He didn't think in military terms. I contacted Google support, changed every password, checked every login. The logs all pointed to the same place, our shared home network. Kwa's IP address, inside the apartment. The following week, the grey blocks multiplied. They began filling every night. Hours Kwa should have been sleeping. 2 a.m. Audio capture. 3:15 a.m. Layout memorization. 4:30 a.m. Door mechanism testing. I called him. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. His blue block said he was in Hanoi for a work conference, a 4-day trip. The apartment was supposed to be empty. I had planned to go Saturday morning to collect the last of my books. Saturday came with a sky the color of old bruises. Heavy. Low. The kind of sky that feels like a warning. I drove downtown alone. Rode the elevator to the 10th floor. The hallway smelled of floor wax and something faintly metallic underneath it. I slid my key into the lock. It wouldn't turn. I tried again. The key fit perfectly. But the pins wouldn't move, as if something on the other side was holding the mechanism still from within. I leaned my forehead against the door, frustrated, trying to think. That's when I heard it. A clicking sound. Fast, rhythmic, moving across the hardwood floor on the other side of the door. Not footsteps. Something else. Something rapid and light and wrong, darting back and forth in zigzag patterns like a needle skipping across a record. Click, 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 click. I pressed my ear against the wood. Silence. Then a voice. Not Kwa's. Not anything I had heard before. It came through the door as if filtered through a blown-out speaker. Flat, metallic, stripped of every human quality. Schedule discrepancy. Subject B is present. Adjusting parameters. The temperature in the hallway dropped. I felt it physically. A wave of cold moving through the air around me, raising every hair on my arms and the back of my neck. The voice continued. low and rapid, as though dictating a report to no one. Subject heart rate elevated, breathing shallow, proximity 0 meters, barrier reinforced wood. Commencing visual. A shadow moved across the peephole from the inside. Something was looking out at me. I don't remember deciding to run. I only remember the carpet rushing under my feet, the stairwell door slamming behind me, 10 flights of concrete steps blurring past, my breath tearing at my throat. I burst through the lobby. Didn't stop until I was locked inside my car with the engine running. My phone was already vibrating. A new notification on the screen. New event added. Title: Target acquisition. Time: now. Duration: permanent. The police went to the apartment that afternoon. They found the door unlocked, wide open. The apartment was completely empty. Not packed. Emptied. Quo's belongings. My remaining boxes. The furniture. The appliances. Even the light bulbs had been removed from their sockets. Just bare walls and hollow silence on the 10th floor. Kwa never came back from Hanoi. His phone was recovered from a trash bin at the airport. The police believe he ran. A new life, another person, the usual theories. I know that isn't what happened. I don't know what walked through that apartment at 3 in the morning, cataloging sounds and testing locks and memorizing the layout of rooms. I don't know what looked at me through that peephole, but I know this. The shared calendar is still active. I cannot delete it. I cannot remove myself from it. Every attempt returns the same error: insufficient permissions. And every night, at exactly 3 a.m., my phone vibrates. A new gray block. Always gray. It tracks where I have been. It predicts where I will be the next day. Down to the hour. Down to the address. It has not been wrong once. Not in 4 months. Not yet. When I packed up my 10-year marriage, I expected to find old memories, forgotten photographs, maybe a sweater that still smelled like her. I did not expect to find a map of my own house, with my daily movements traced in red ink. My name is Trung, and I need you to understand something before I tell you this story. I am not a man who believes in ghosts. I'm a civil engineer. I think in load-bearing walls and drainage calculations. When something is wrong, I look for the structural cause. What I found in that house had a cause. I just wish it didn't. My wife, Mai, left me in August. No argument, no warning. I came back from the hardware store and she was simply gone. 1 suitcase, her wedding ring on the kitchen counter, a note that said 4 words. I can't pretend anymore. Her phone was disconnected by evening. Her parents told me to give her space. Her car was gone from the driveway. I stayed in the house. It was a large, isolated cabin-style home backed against a stretch of dense forest outside the city, a place we had chosen together because we loved the quiet. Now the quiet was a different thing entirely. Heavy. Directional. Like it was coming from somewhere specific. The first month, I barely moved from the couch. By October, I forced myself to start packing her things. That's when the geography of my life began to shift. Small things, at first. The kind you explain away when you're sleeping badly and living alone. I lock the deadbolt every night at 10. Always. It's automatic. But I started waking up to find it unlatched, the door handle cold to the touch. The particular cold of metal that has recently been in contact with the outside air. I leave my keys in the bowl by the entrance. They started appearing in different rooms. The porch light, which I live on without exception, was off 3 mornings in a row. Sleep deprivation, I told myself. Grief. You're not tracking yourself properly. Then the mug appeared. Mai had a favorite coffee mug. Pale blue ceramic, slightly chipped on the rim. I had packed it myself, wrapped it in newspaper, placed it in a box labeled kitchen, sealed it with 2 layers of tape, carried it to the basement. One morning I came downstairs and it was sitting on the kitchen island, perfectly centered, a faint ring of moisture beneath it, as though it had just been washed. I stood in the kitchen doorway for a long time. Then I went to the basement. The box was exactly where I had left it. Tape, unbroken, undisturbed. I cut it open. The mug was gone. Over the following week, it escalated in a way that felt almost methodical, deliberate, as though something was testing how much I could absorb before I broke. Her reading glasses on the nightstand, her winter coat hanging by the door, her scent, lavender and something like old paper, drifting through the hallway in the early morning, faint but unmistakable. Objects migrating from sealed boxes in the basement back to their original places in the house, always overnight, always while I was sleeping. I bought security cameras. I slept with a baseball bat next to the couch. I checked every room, every closet, under every bed, every single night before I lay down. I found nothing. It was a Thursday. Rain coming down hard against the windows. The kind of rain that makes an isolated house feel even further from the rest of the world. I was in the spare room, going through a box of Mai's paperwork, looking for old documents the lawyers needed. At the bottom of the box, beneath a stack of old magazines, my hand closed around a thick manila envelope. I pulled it out, opened it. Photographs, dozens of them, large, high-resolution prints. I am sitting on the couch, reading. I am asleep, one arm hanging off the cushion. I am eating dinner alone at the kitchen table. I am working at my laptop, my back to the room. Every photograph taken from inside the house, from corners, from behind doors, from the top of the staircase looking down. My hands started shaking before I fully understood what I was looking at. Then I checked the timestamps. These photographs were not taken after Mai left. They were taken in the 3 years before she disappeared. I reached back into the envelope. One last item. A large sheet of thick paper, folded into quarters. I unfolded it on the floor. It was a hand-drawn floor plan of the entire house. Precise. Detailed. Every room, every doorway, every window, measured and labeled with a sharp, angular handwriting I did not recognize. Nothing like Mai's. And running through every room, traced in red ink, were lines, paths, movement routes through the house, annotated in the same small mechanical script. Subject sleeps deeply between 0200 and 0400. Blind spot in hallway. Camera angle does not capture mirror. Secondary exit. Basement window. Confirmed viable. I sat on the floor, holding that piece of paper. And then the power went out. Darkness. Absolute. The rain against the window strobing white with lightning every few seconds. I sat completely still. Then I heard it from directly above me. The spare room sits beneath the attic crawl space, and something up there was shifting its weight, slowly, deliberately, as though it had been still for a long time and had now decided to move. Creak. A pause. Creak. The sound moved toward the access panel in the hallway ceiling. I heard the latch slide. The hinges whined. I did not grab the bat. I did not grab my phone. I threw myself through the first floor window. Glass. Cold mud. Rain. The tree line 30 meters away, and I was already running toward it, barefoot, bleeding from both hands, not looking back. I ran until I hit the main road, flagged down a passing truck, sat in the passenger seat, soaking wet, unable to speak, holding the floor plan against my chest. The police searched the house the next morning. The attic crawl space was empty, no one there. But the setup was still intact. Sleeping bags, packaged food, a battery-powered lantern, and covering the interior walls of the crawl space, floor to ceiling, thousands of photographs, all of me. Every angle, every room, every hour of the day and night. And sitting in the center of the crawl space floor, on a folded piece of cloth, placed there with obvious intention, Mai's wedding ring, the one she had supposedly left on the kitchen counter the day she disappeared. They never found who was living in my ceiling. Mai was never found, either. I live in a high-rise apartment now. 3 deadbolts, a monitored security system, no basement, no attic. Nothing above me but the floor of another unit. And I know the family who lives there. I've started sleeping again, mostly. But last week, I came home from work and stopped in the kitchen doorway. My favorite coffee mug was sitting on the counter, perfectly scented, still warm.